Yesterday Bitcoin saw a very volatile day, but however we are still ranging inside of this huge formation and we're going to see a huge breakout today. So in this video I'm going to tell you exactly what we can expect for Bitcoin today, how you can prepare for this huge move for Bitcoin, and what my next price targets are for Bitcoin in the coming days. There's also a lot of interesting data coming in for the Ethereum and the Bitcoin ETFs. And also we have Michael Saylor buying another huge Bitcoin stack yesterday, so I will also discuss it in this video. I will also have a look at 3 altcoins today, which are VeChain, Chainlink and Polkadot. But about that later in the video. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end. Don't forget to slap up that like button because it will help my channel a lot. And let's dive right into the charts. Yesterday we had a very volatile day for Bitcoin. We saw levels around the $92 several times, but we also came back to the $89,000, which was very volatile. And let's see what we can now see for Bitcoin today. But if we have a look at this horizontal level on the 1 hour time frame, it was respected beautifully. As I was saying earlier in my post of yesterday, I said that this huge resistance level was flipped into support, and every time we touch this support we are seeing a beautiful bounce to the top side, so this is looking good. But now let's see if Bitcoin can separate itself again from this level, and of course we want to break this previous all-time high of $93,000, and that could also happen today. But if we have a look at the 4 hour time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is going to break out, but I will tell you about that later in the video. And yesterday it was Monday, so there was the start of the week and the US markets were open again. So we saw a huge inflow for the Bitcoin ETFs of $254.8 million, and especially BlackRock and Fidelity were buying like crazy, so this is insane. And we can also see that Grayscale is starting to buy again. So in total we saw a huge inflow, and the cumulative inflow is now coming again closer to this all-time high. And of course we want to see the next spike to the top side, and that we're coming closer to the $30 billion of total cumulative inflow, and that will of course be very bullish for Bitcoin, and it will even pump up the price for Bitcoin even more. And if we then have a look at the Ethereum ETFs, we saw a bit of a bearish day, and that was because BlackRock and Grayscale were selling their portion of Ethereum, and in total we saw a net outflow of $39.1 million, so this was having a little bit of a bearish effect on the price of Ethereum. So overall the inflows are very good for Bitcoin, so let's see if this week can be very bullish just like the last weeks. And if we then zoom out to the Bitcoin 4 hour time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is in this huge consolidation formation, and on the lower side we see a lot of touch points as support, and we are in this huge uptrend. But on the higher side we are seeing this huge resistance area coming into play, and this horizontal level needs to be broken to the top side in order to become bullish. So this will be the bullish scenario, that we're going to gain this level to the top side, a retest of the resistance to turn it into support, and then we can aim for newer higher highs. And that would mean that we're going to create an all-time high. So this could all happen today, but of course there's also a bearish scenario possible, that we're going to see a big rejection from this huge resistance level on the top side, that we're going to break this huge upward sloping trendline support and retest it as resistance again, and then we have to aim for lower targets. And this could be the bearish scenario that could play out for Bitcoin today or later in this week. So keep in mind that there are 2 scenarios possible, a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario. But you want to be waiting for either a breakout to the top side and then wait for a confirmation of the break, or a break to the downside, and then you can aim for a retest, and then on a retest you can enter the market for Bitcoin in either a short or a long trade. Now let me know in the comments what you think for Bitcoin. Are we going to see a bullish break or a bearish break? And yesterday Michael Saylor announced that MicroStrategy has acquired another 51,780 Bitcoin, and this was a total of $4.6 billion, so this is insane of course. And they are now one of the biggest whales ever in the history of Bitcoin. And yesterday I was talking about this in my video, and he is now buying again. And this is the DCA portfolio of MicroStrategy. So every time we see a green dot, they are buying more Bitcoin. And you can see perfectly they are buying every time we are in an uptrend, but also in a downtrend. So whatever the price is, they will buy even more. And this means that you can dollar cost average. And this means that you will buy a Bitcoin no matter what the price is. And in the end, if Bitcoin is going up, you will make money anyway. So this is insane. And he is now also buying the top, just like in the last cycles. But however, he also bought at the bottom, so he is now in perfect profits, because they are now in profits of almost $14 billion, and they have a total of $30.5 billion in Bitcoin. So he will either go down in history as the best investor or the worst investor. But for now he's in huge profit, so he's on the right side of history. And if we then zoom out to the daily time frame, we can see that Bitcoin broke above this huge resistance area, which was confluent with the previous all-time high. We saw a little bit of a rejection coming here, but then we saw a big bump to the top side, and now we're coming closer to the $100,000 mark. And this, of course, will be the very first target for a lot of people. And the $100,000 is coming closer, and we are only a 9% pump away from the new high of $100,000. And this could be happening today, because in the last couple of weeks we saw sometimes a pump of 9%, so this could also happen in one day. But of course we can expect it for the rest of the week, or maybe in December. And let me know in the comments what you think. Are we going to hit the $100,000 before the end of 2024, or do you think that we are going to see it in 2025? Personally, I think we will even see it in November. We are now in the middle of the month, so I expect that Bitcoin can reach the $100,000 in this month. And looking at another Bitcoin daily chart, we can see that Bitcoin is in this huge uptrend on the daily time frame. We can see that we're shifting from a huge downtrend into a big uptrend, and we're creating this higher low and higher high structure. And we're now creating this huge exponential move in the last weeks to the top side. We created this higher high, but of course we could also potentially see a higher low play for Bitcoin. So keep in mind that if we're going to see a higher low play, I'm very much interested in buying Bitcoin in a dip. Because every time in my videos I've been saying to you that I'm going to buy every dip, and especially in a bull market. And I will just keep repeating it, because I think when we are seeing a huge dump, everyone will panic again. But this will be the time that you should be bullish on Bitcoin. Because let's say, for instance, if we're going to see levels around the $80,000, I think a lot of people will panic and sell their Bitcoin again. But this is the time you want to enter the market again for Bitcoin, because this could be your last chance to buy Bitcoin before the $100,000. And before we go to see that exponential move to the top side and create these huge exponential moves, just like we saw on the last bull market. So of course nobody knows where we are going to see this huge higher high, but of course I will just keep repeating it, that you should be waiting for a new higher low, and that you want to enter the market in the long if we're going to see that huge dump to the downside. And if we then zoom out all the way to the weekly time frame, we can see a beautiful bull flag was occurring for Bitcoin, and I've been discussing this huge bull flag for you in the last 8 months. After this huge run up for Bitcoin, we came from the bear market lows, we created this huge consolidation, and we created this nice bull flag for Bitcoin. And when we're in this huge bull flag, I've been telling you that I was stacking up more Bitcoin every time we touched this lower side support. And from there we saw this exponential breakout for Bitcoin. We gained this previous all-time highs from the last cycle, and this was looking very bullish. So we're now creating this huge exponential move to the top side, and this is especially what we want to see. And in hindsight, this bull flag formation was a typical bullish bias pattern, and we saw a beautiful continuation of the bullish momentum. And this bull flag formation still has a breakout target of $108,000, and that will be around this level. So there's still a long road for Bitcoin to go, but there's still a huge upside potential happening for Bitcoin. So let's see what we can expect for Bitcoin in the coming days, and if we're going to see that $100,000 getting reached. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Chainlink. I've been talking about Chainlink on my socials when we were making this huge bullish retest. And on my socials I was warning you that we could see this potential bullish retest. And from this bullish retest you can enter the market in the long, because this previous resistance was getting turned into support. And if we then have a look at the charts, we can see that Chainlink made this perfect bullish retest, because this previous resistance was getting turned into support. And from this bullish retest I was entering the market for Chainlink in a long. And from the bullish retest, you could have already made a perfect gain of more than 20%. And the next big resistance for Chainlink will be around this huge horizontal level, and that will be confluent with the $16.5. So this could be your very first take profit place. And of course, congratulations if you took this trade together with me on Chainlink, because this was a very beautiful trade to make. And if Chainlink is coming closer to this next big horizontal resistance, we want to see a huge break to the top side and create more bullish momentum. But of course, we could also see a big rejection from this level, and that we have to aim for lower prices again. But for now, Chainlink is looking very bullish after breaking this huge horizontal resistance level. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is VeChain. We can see VeChain is also inside of this huge range. We can see on the top side a huge resistance level coming in, and on the lower side we saw beautiful support coming into play. And every time we touched this lower side support, I was telling you on my socials that I was buying more VeChain, And every time we touched this green box of accumulation, I was buying more, and every time we saw a huge bounce to the top side. And now we're coming closer to this huge horizontal resistance on the top side. So this will be the very first big resistance for a V-chain to break. So we could either see a break to the top side, or of course there's also a bear scenario that we're going to see a little bit of a rejection, just like we saw here. But if we then zoom in on the 1 hour time frame, we can see that V-chain is creating this huge rising wedge formation with multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and also on the lower side we can see 3 touch points as support. And this rising wedge formation is actually a typical bearish bias pattern, because we are seeing this price grinding up to the top side, but the power of the higher highs is getting weaker. So we could expect a little bit of a bearish move, a retest of the support to turn it into resistance, and then we have to aim for lower prices. But of course it would be very strong if V-chain is going to break to the top side, because it will then also be breaking this huge horizontal level on the daily time frame. And then we could potentially see a retest of the resistance as support. From there we can aim for a higher target, and this of course will be the very big bullish scenario. But keep in mind that this rising wedge formation is a typical bearish bias pattern, so we could also aim for lower prices if this pattern is going to break down. And another interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Polkadot. We can see Polkadot was in this very bearish move to the downside. We saw a lot of touch points here as support. We broke down of it, and then we created a huge dump to the downside. But now we are seeing this huge range unfolding for Polkadot. We saw multiple touch points here as resistance, and also on the lower side as support. We finally broke bullish, but then we came back to retest the previous resistance as support, and from there you could have entered the market for Polkadot in a long. And I've been discussing this huge bullish retest for Polkadot on my socials, so from this bullish retest you could have made an almost 30% increase. So congratulations if you took this trade together with me on Polkadot. And now we're coming closer to a huge resistance area on the daily time frame. And in the past we can see a lot of touch points as support, but also as resistance here. So this will be the biggest resistance for Polkadot to break in the imminent short term. So if we're going back to this level, we could either see a rejection from this level or a gain. And that of course will be very bullish for Polkadot. But however, Polkadot has been very bearish in the last months. So let's see if we can see a little bit of more bullish continuation to the top side, because everyone who holds Polkadot is waiting for those exponential gains. So please give a like if you find the video useful. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.